The large meeting room on the Galactic Council station was cold. The aliens liked it that way. Captain Jun Kim of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps kept his face calm, but his hands were cold. He had been sitting at this table for 6 hours, now listening to threats dressed up as talks. The Raxian ambassador stood across from him. The alien was tall, with dark blue skin and 4 arms. Its face had moving parts that clicked when it spoke. All the aliens in the room thought they were better than humans. Humans had only been in space for a short time, they said. The Raxians had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Your kind has been given much freedom, the Raxian said, its voice like stones grinding together. Too much, we think. It is time for humans to know their place in the stars. Next, to June, Dr. Hannah Park wrote notes on her small computer. She was the team's expert on alien history and culture. Her face showed nothing, but June knew she was angry. He was angry too. They just didn't show it. The Raxian pointed a long blue finger at the star map floating above the table. These 5 colony worlds. You will leave them. They are now under Raxian protection. Protection? Hannah said, not looking up from her notes. Is that what you call taking our homes? The room filled with the clicking sounds of alien laughter. 6 different species were at the table, all more powerful than humans. Or so they thought. Your kind is new to the stars, said the Vorlan representative, a floating ball of gas inside a clear suit. You need guidance, rules. The Raxians are being kind. They could take all your worlds. June looked at the star map. The 5 colonies held over 2 million humans. They had farms, schools, factories. They were not just places on a map. They were homes. We cannot leave those worlds, June said, his voice steady and calm. We have built lives there. The Raxian's face parts moved faster. You have no choice. You will remove your people in 30 standard days. If not, we will remove them for you. A small green alien with many eyes laughed. What will you do, humans? Your ships are toys compared to Raxian warships. Your weapons are like children's games. June looked at each alien face, around the table. They were so sure of themselves, so certain that humans were weak. We regret to inform you that will not be possible, June said simply. The room went quiet for a moment. Then all the aliens began to laugh again, louder this time. You have no choice, the Raxian repeated. 30 days. Then we come. The meeting ended soon after. June and Hannah walked back to their ship, a small transport vessel called the Earth Star. It was new and clean, but small compared to the massive alien ships docked at the station. Their ship looked exactly like what the aliens thought humans were, new to space with simple technology. Once they were inside their ship and the doors were closed, Hannah's calm face changed. They think we're children, she said, her eyes hard with anger. They think we'll just roll over and give up our colonies. June took off his formal jacket and sat down heavily in his chair. They've never seen us fight. They think they know what humanity is. The ship's captain, Min Lee, entered the room. How did it go? She asked, though the look on their faces told her everything. The Raxians want our outer colonies, June said. They gave us 30 days to leave. Min cursed under her breath. And if we don't? They'll take them by force. They'll say it's for our own good, Hannah said bitterly. Typical Raxian tactics. They've done this to 3 other young spacefaring races in the last century. Min sat down across from them. What do we do now? Before June could answer, a small device on Hannah's wrist lit up with a soft blue light. She looked down at it, surprised. It wasn't her regular communicator. It was something else, something only a few people knew about. She pressed her thumb against it and a small hologram appeared above her wrist. It showed only a few words. Authorization granted. Protocol Lazarus is active. Hannah's eyes widened. She showed the message to June. He read it twice, then took a deep breath. So it's time. Time for what? Min asked, looking between them. June turned to her. Captain Lee, we need to send a message to Earth. Top priority, direct to the Security Council. Min nodded, confused but trusting. What's the message? Tell them we received the Lazarus authorization, June said. And then tell them to wake the fleet. Min's face went blank with shock. The fleet? But we don't have a... Her voice trailed off as she saw their faces. Do we? Hana's face had changed. There was almost a smile there now. Captain Lee, there's something you should know. Something most people don't know. What the Raxians said in there was partly true, June explained. Modern humans have only been in space for a short time. But humans themselves... He paused, choosing his words carefully. We've been in space before. A long, long time ago, Min, they looked at them like they were crazy. What are you talking about? Hana's device lit up again. She read the new message and nodded to June. They're doing it, they're waking them up. June turned to Min. Captain, the Raxians are sending ships to Earth. They want to frighten us into giving up our colonies. They think we'll be easy to push around because they believe we're new to space. We are new to space, Min said. Hana shook her head. Not all of us. And not always. In a secure room deep beneath the ocean floor on Earth, lights were turning on for the first time in decades. Men and women in simple gray uniforms moved with quick, practiced steps. They had trained for this moment all their lives, as had their parents, and their parents before them, going back thousands of years. They were the Guardians. Their job was simple: keep the secret, maintain the ships, and be ready if they were ever needed again. Now they were needed. Admiral Taeho Lee stood in the center of the control room, watching as screens lit up all around him. Reports were coming in from similar facilities all over Earth, hidden bases under mountains, beneath oceans, inside hollow moons. His second-in-command, Commander Suko, approached with a tablet. All facilities report ready, Admiral. The awakening sequence has begun, Taeho nodded. And the crews? The Guardians are taking their positions, Suk replied. We have enough trained personnel to operate 40% of the fleet at full capacity, 70% at minimum levels. It will have to be enough, Taeho said. He looked at the largest screen, which showed a massive underground hangar. In it sat a ship so large it was hard to believe it had been built by human hands. Yet it had been, long, long ago. The ship was called the Eternal Vigilance. It was over 15 kilometers long, with a black hull marked with strange symbols that no modern language could translate. It had been waiting, sleeping, for thousands of years. Now, it was waking up. How long until the fleet is ready? Taeho asked. 24 hours for the first ships, Suk said. 48 for the full fleet. Taeho nodded. The Raxians gave us 30 days. Let's surprise them. Back on the Galactic Council station, June and Hana watched through a large window as ships came and went. A particularly large Raxian warship was passing by, its weapons ports open in a clear show of power. They have no idea what's coming, Hana said quietly. June nodded. Humanity has been hiding for a very long time. Maybe too long. Do you think the world is ready to know the truth? Hana asked. About our past? About what we really are? June watched the Raxian ship disappear into the darkness of space. They're about to find out, he said. The time for hiding was over. 5,000 years ago, humans had already reached the stars. While modern history books talked about the first spaceflight in the 20th century, this was not the first time humans had left Earth. It was only the most recent time. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, a mountain moved. It wasn't really a mountain, though it looked like one on every map and scan. It was a door, a massive door that had not opened in over 100 years. Water rushed away as the fake mountain split down the middle and began to slide apart. Inside was dry air and bright lights. And ships, huge ships that didn't look like they belonged on Earth. In a control room overlooking the massive underground port, Admiral Taeho Lee watched as systems came online. Lights flickered on across the largest ship, the Eternal Vigilance. Its black hull seemed to drink in the light rather than reflect it. Power systems at 80% and rising, reported a young guardian at a control panel. All main systems responding. Taiho nodded. All around him, men and women in gray uniforms worked, quickly. These were the Guardians, people who had given their lives to a secret most of humanity didn't know existed. They were the keepers of humanity's hidden past, the protectors of the ancient fleet. Commander Suk-O approached him with a datapad. "Admiral, we have reports from all hidden bases. The awakening is proceeding on schedule." "How many ships will be ready in 24 hours?" Taiho asked. 53 capital ships and 120 support vessels, Suk replied. The rest will follow within 48 hours. Taiho studied the main screen, which showed feeds from hidden bases all around Earth and even some beyond. In the Sea of Tranquility on the Moon, huge doors were opening, revealing ships that had been hiding there since before the first official moon landing. In the asteroid belt, what looked like ordinary rocks were splitting open to reveal ships and weapons platforms. "What's the status of the cruise?" Taiho asked. Suk's face showed worry for the first time. "We're stretched thin, Admiral. The Guardian program has always been small by necessity. We have enough fully trained personnel for about 40% of the fleet. The rest will need to operate with skeleton crews." "We knew this day might come," Taiho said. "We've trained for it." "Yes, but not all at once," Suk pointed out. "We expected a gradual reveal, not—" She waved her hand at the screens showing the entire fleet awakening simultaneously. Taiho understood her concern. The Guardians had existed for thousands of years, passing down knowledge from generation to generation. They maintained the ships, kept the technology working, and preserved the truth about humanity's past. But they had always been few in number. The secret was too big, too important to risk spreading widely. "We'll manage," Taiho said firmly. "Begin crew assignments. Priority to the Eternal Vigilance and the First Defense Line." As Suk moved away to carry out his orders, Taiho stepped closer to the window overlooking the hangar. The Eternal Vigilance was massive, dwarfing even the largest modern aircraft carriers. It was 15 kilometers from bow to stern, with a hull design unlike anything in modern human engineering. Angular in some places, curved in others, it seemed to follow rules, a physics that modern science was only beginning to understand. And it was old, so very old. The ship had been built when the pyramids were new. It had already been ancient when Rome was founded. While humans on the surface fought with swords and bows, a select few kept the knowledge of the stars alive. Taiho remembered what his grandfather had told him when he first joined the Guardians as a young man. "We didn't always live like this, divided and fighting over small pieces of land. Once we sailed between stars as easily as ships now cross oceans. But we made mistakes. Terrible mistakes, and we chose to start over, to grow up again more wisely," a voice called out from across the control room. "Admiral, we have movement from the Raxian fleet." Taiho turned. "Show me." The main screen changed to show a feed from a hidden sensor platform near Mars. A group of Raxian warships was moving into the solar system, heading toward Earth. "How many?" Taiho asked. 23 ships, sir, including their flagship." Taiho's face hardened. The Raxians had said 30 days, but they were coming now, just 3 days after the meeting. They wanted to catch Earth unprepared. They wanted to frighten humans into submission. They were about to get a very big surprise. "Time to arrival?" Taiho asked. "At their current speed, 18 hours, came the reply. Taiho turned to Suk, who had returned to his side. "We need to speed up our timetable. The Raxians aren't waiting 30 days, Suk nodded grimly. "I'll inform all bases, and send a message to our diplomatic team at the Galactic Council," Taiho added. "They need to know what's happening." On the Galactic Council station, June and Hana were packing their few belongings in their small room. They were preparing to return to Earth when June's communication device beeped. He checked the message and his face grew serious. "The Raxians are moving," he said to Hana. "A fleet is already on its way to Earth." Hana stopped packing. "How long?" 18 hours, June replied. "They're not waiting the 30 days they promised." "Typical," Hana said bitterly. They never intended to give us time. They want to scare us with a show of force. A knock on their door interrupted them. Captain Min Lee entered, looking worried. We just got word, she said. The Raxians, we know, June cut in. They're heading to Earth. Min nodded. We've been ordered to stay here at the council station, to observe the alien reactions when... She hesitated, still not entirely believing what she had recently learned. When they find out the truth about humanity, Hana finished for her. Min sat down heavily on one of the beds. I still can't believe it. Hidden ships? A secret history? Why keep this from our own people? June and Hana exchanged looks. They had been born into guardian families. They had grown up with the secret. It was hard to explain to someone who was just learning the truth. It was decided long ago, June said carefully. After the Great War that nearly destroyed everything. The leaders of that time felt humanity needed to grow up again, more peacefully this time. But the ships, Min began, were kept as a last defense, Hana explained, maintained by the Guardians. We hoped we would never need them. And now? Min asked. June looked out the small window of their room, at the stars beyond. Now we'll show the galaxy what humanity really is. In the hidden base beneath the Pacific, Admiral Tai-Ho Lee strapped himself into the command chair on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance. Around him, Guardians took their stations, activating systems that had been dormant for decades or longer. All hands report ready, Admiral, Suk said from her station beside him. The ship is at full power. Tai-Ho nodded. He placed his hand on a small panel beside his chair. It glowed softly, reading his DNA, confirming his identity and his right to command. The ship had safeguards built into its very structure. Only those with the right bloodlines, Guardian bloodlines, could fully control it. Begin ascent sequence, Tai-Ho ordered. The massive ship hummed with power. Outside, the water above the hidden base was pushed aside by invisible forces, creating a clear path to the surface. Slowly, the Eternal Vigilance began to rise. After 5,000 years of hiding, humanity's true power was about to be revealed to the stars. The Raxian attack fleet moved through space toward Earth, 23 ships, each bigger than anything humans had built in modern times. Their weapons were ready. They expected to find a weak planet with a few small defense ships. Commander Vex, leader of the Raxian fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship. He was tall even for a Raxian, with dark blue skin and 4 arms. His face parts clicked as he studied the display showing Earth ahead. Status report, he demanded. All ships in formation, replied his second. Earth has made no response to our approach. Their orbital stations appear to be inactive. Vex made a sound of satisfaction. They are hiding, cowering. Should we not wait the 30 days as promised? Asked a junior officer. Vex's face parts clicked rapidly in amusement. Promises to lesser species mean nothing. We will show our power now. They will surrender their colonies immediately. The Raxian fleet approached Earth's moon. Their sensors showed nothing unusual. They passed the dark side of the moon, heading straight for Earth. Prepare to enter orbit, Vex ordered. Target their largest cities with warning shots. Show them what will happen if they resist. Suddenly, alarms sounded across the bridge. Commander, movement detected, shouted the sensor officer. Something is coming from behind the moon. What is it? Vex demanded. Earth defense ships? The sensor officer looked confused. I don't know. The readings don't make sense. The main screen changed to show the view behind them. Something huge was emerging from behind the moon. Not one ship, but many. And they were big. Much bigger than even the Raxian flagship. Impossible, Vex whispered. The first ship that came into full view was massive, 15 kilometers long, with a black hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. It was followed by dozens more ships of various sizes, all with the same strange design. They didn't look like modern ships, they looked ancient. Those can't be human ships, Vex said. They don't have this technology. More alarms sounded as the sensors detected movement from Earth itself. The oceans were disturbed as more massive ships rose from hiding places beneath the water, from bases hidden in mountains, from the far side of the moon. from disguised asteroid bases. Everywhere the Raxians looked, more ships appeared. Vex's face parts clicked rapidly in distress. "How many?" he asked. "Over 200 large vessels and counting," replied the shocked sensor officer. "And they're all powering weapons." On the Galactic Council station, all normal business had stopped. Every screen showed the scene unfolding at Earth. Alien representatives from dozens of worlds stood in stunned silence, watching as humanity's hidden fleet revealed itself. Captain June Kim and Dr. Hannah Park stood quietly at the back of the main observation room. The alien ambassadors who had laughed at them days earlier now looked at the screens in shock and fear. The Raxian ambassadors' face parts were clicking so fast they were almost a blur. "This is trickery," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. "Some kind of illusion." "No illusion," Hannah said, speaking up for the first time in days. "Those ships are real. They've always been real." The room went silent as all eyes turned to the two humans. "What are those ships?" asked the Vorlon representative, its floating gas body pulsing with agitation inside its clear suit. "Where did they come from?" June stepped forward. "Earth. They came from Earth." "Impossible," hissed the Raxian ambassador. "Your people have only been in space for 200 years. Those ships, those designs, are very old." Hannah finished for him. "Much older than your civilization, Ambassador." A new alien pushed forward, one of the oldest members of the council. It was small and gray, with large eyes and a wrinkled face. The Elder, as it was known, was from a species so ancient that most had forgotten its name. "I have seen designs like these before," the Elder said softly. "In the oldest records of my people. From before we reached the stars ourselves." The room grew even quieter. "You're saying humans had these ships before your people were even spacefaring?" the Vorlon asked, its voice filled with disbelief. The Elder nodded slowly. "If these ships are what I think they are, they were old when my ancestors first looked up at the stars and dreamed." All eyes turned back to the humans. "We didn't want to reveal this," Hannah said quietly. "We hoped to join galactic society peacefully, as equals. But our ancestors left us these ships for a reason, to protect ourselves when needed." June added, "Humans aren't new to space. We're very, very old. We just forgot for a while." On the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, Admiral Taeho Lee watched as his fleet took position around Earth. The Raxian ships looked small and weak compared to the ancient human vessels. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Suko said, from her station. "Defensive systems are active." Taeho nodded. "Open a channel to the Raxian fleet." A moment later, the main screen showed the face of the Raxian commander. His face parts were moving quickly, showing his fear and confusion. "Raxian fleet, this is Admiral Taeho Lee of Earth's Guardian Fleet," Taeho said calmly. "You will power down weapons and withdraw from Earth space immediately. This is not a negotiation." The Raxian commander tried to look confident. "Your ancient relics don't frighten us humans. Those ships are museum pieces at best." Taeho looked at Suk and nodded. She pressed a series of controls. One of the smaller ships in the human fleet fired what looked like a small bright object toward an empty area of space. The object flew for several seconds, then suddenly expanded into a swirling darkness that bent light around it. It was a controlled singularity, a temporary black hole that collapsed after just a few seconds. Complete silence followed. "That," Taeho said calmly, "was our smallest weapon, aimed at empty space as a demonstration. The next one will be aimed at your flagship." On the screen, the Raxian commander's face had gone pale. Without another word, he cut the communication. "The Raxian fleet is powering down weapons," Suk reported. "They're changing course, moving away from Earth." Taeho nodded. "Keep weapons ready, but do not fire unless fired upon. Let them go." He looked out at the stars through the bridge's large viewing window. After thousands of years of hiding, humanity had revealed its true face to the galaxy. There would be no going back now. On the Galactic Council station, the mood had shifted from shock to intense curiosity. The alien representatives bombarded June and Hannah with questions. "How long have you had these ships? Why did humans hide? Their true history?" What happened to make you retreat to Earth? Before they could answer, a message came through on Hana's special communicator. She read it and looked up at June with wide eyes. The Raxian fleet is retreating, she said. No shots fired. A murmur ran through the room. The powerful Raxians retreating without a fight? The elder stepped forward again, its ancient eyes fixed on the humans. I believe, it said in its thin, reedy voice, that the council would be very interested in hearing the true history of humanity. June nodded slowly. It's time for the truth to be told. The Raxian fleet was moving away from Earth, but they hadn't left the solar system yet. Commander Vex paced on the bridge of his flagship, his face parts clicking in anger and shame. He had been sent to show humanity its place, to make them bow to Raxian power. Instead, his mighty fleet looked small and weak next to the ancient human ships. We cannot retreat, he said suddenly. The Empire will not accept such weakness. His officers looked at him with fear. They had seen what just one small human ship could do. Create a black hole with a single shot. Commander, his second said carefully, those ships are beyond anything we have faced before. Their technology is... It's not possible. Vex stopped, pacing. No, I refuse to believe humans have such power. It must be a trick, an illusion. He turned to his weapons officer. Target the smallest human vessel and fire. Let's see if they are as powerful as they want us to believe. The weapons officer hesitated. Sir, if we fire, they will respond. We may not survive. Do it, Vex shouted. That is an order. Slowly, the weapons officer turned to his console and began the firing sequence. On the Eternal Vigilance, Admiral Taeho Lee was watching the Raxian fleet carefully. They had stopped their retreat and appeared to be changing formation. Admiral, Suk said urgently. The Raxian flagship is powering. Up weapons. Taeho frowned. Target? One of our patrol vessels, the Swift Guardian, Suk replied. They're locking on. Taeho didn't hesitate. Move the Swift Guardian out of range and position the mountain shield to intercept any fire. The crew moved quickly, sending commands to the two ships. The smaller patrol vessel moved away while a larger defensive ship took its place. Should we fire first? Asked the weapons officer. Taeho shook his head. No, we will not start this fight, but we will finish it if necessary. The main screen showed the Raxian flagship firing a bright beam of energy at where the Swift Guardian had been. Instead, it hit the mountain shield, whose defensive systems absorbed the attack completely, showing no damage. The mountain shield. Reports no damage, Suk said. Their shields held easily. Taeho nodded. Open a channel to all Raxian ships. When the channel was open, Taeho spoke clearly and calmly. Raxian vessels, this is your final warning. That attack was foolish. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Continue your retreat immediately or we will be forced to respond. There was no answer from the Raxians. Instead, 3 more of their ships began charging weapons. They're not listening, Suk said. Taeho sighed. Then we must show them why they should. Target the space between their ships. Use the gravity lance, minimum power. The weapons officer nodded and entered the commands. From the front of the Eternal Vigilance, a strange device extended. It didn't look like a normal weapon. It was more like a series of rings that began to spin faster and faster, glowing with a blue light. Gravity lance ready, reported the weapons officer. Fire, Taeho ordered. A beam of blue light shot from the spinning rings, hitting empty space, between 4 Raxian warships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to bend and twist. The 4 Raxian ships were suddenly pulled toward each other, unable to escape the artificial gravity well created by the lance. They didn't crash, but they came dangerously close, their hulls nearly touching before the effect faded, and they were able to move freely again. Channel still open, said the communications officer. Taeho spoke again. That was the gravity lance at 5% power. At full power, it can crush your ships together like toys. This is your absolute final warning. Retreat now. This time, there was a response. The face of Commander Vex appeared on the screen. his blue skin now pale with fear. We are withdrawing," he said, his voice shaking. "Please, allow us safe passage out of your system." Tejo nodded. "You have it. But know this. The 5 colony worlds you demanded will remain human. If the Raxian Empire threatens any human world again, our response will not be so gentle." Vex's face disappeared from the screen. All 23 Raxian ships began moving away from Earth at high speed. "They're running," Suk said with a small smile. "As they should," Tejo replied. "But this is just the beginning. The galaxy now knows about us, about our ships. Everything will change." On the Galactic Council Station, the main chamber was filled with representatives from every spacefaring race. They had gathered to hear the truth about humanity. Captain June Kim and Dr. Hannah Park stood at the center of the room, all eyes on them. The elder, who led the council, spoke first. "We have witnessed something extraordinary today. Ships of a design that predates many of our civilizations, hidden on a world we thought was new to the stars." The ancient alien turned to the humans. "We would hear your story now." Hannah stepped forward. This was her area of expertise, the true history of humanity. "What I am about to tell you is known to only a small number of humans," she began. "For thousands of years, a group called the Guardians has kept this secret, waiting for the day when it would be needed." She took a deep breath and continued. 5,000 years ago, humans were not primitive beings, just discovering fire and farming. "We were one of the first spacefaring races in this part of the galaxy." A murmur ran through the crowd of aliens. "This went against everything they thought they knew about Earth. We traveled the stars," Hannah continued. "We built great ships and visited many worlds. Some of those worlds had life that was still developing. Some had intelligent beings just beginning to build their first tools." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of several alien representatives. "Some of you, though you don't know it, owe your very existence to those ancient humans who visited your worlds long ago." The room grew completely silent. "But there was a war," Hannah said, her voice dropping lower. "A terrible war against an enemy that nearly destroyed everything. We won, but at great cost. Our civilization was in ruins. The few survivors made a choice, to start over." June took up the story. "They returned to Earth and chose to set aside their advanced technology. They believed that they had grown too quickly, that their technology had outpaced their wisdom. They wanted to grow again, but more slowly this time to learn the lessons they had missed. But they were not foolish," Hannah added. "They kept the fleet hidden, maintained by the Guardians through countless generations. They knew that one day when humanity returned to the stars, we might need that ancient power again." The elder leaned forward. "And the enemy you fought? What became of them?" Hannah and June exchanged looks. This was the hardest part of the truth. "We don't know," Hannah admitted. "The records are not clear. They may be gone forever, or they may still be out there, somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, waiting to return." The silence in the room was heavy with the weight of this revelation. Finally, a tall, thin alien with purple skin spoke. "If what you say is true, then humans are not the newcomers we thought. You are the elders, the ancients that our oldest myths speak of." June shook his head. "We don't see ourselves that way. We are just people who forgot our past for a time. Now we remember, and we hope to rejoin galactic society not as conquerors or as servants, but as equals." The elder nodded slowly. "I believe that can be arranged." 1 week after the Raxian fleet retreated, the Galactic Council called a special meeting. Representatives from over 200 spacefaring races gathered to hear the full story of humanity's past. The main chamber of the council station was packed, with many aliens standing because there weren't enough seats. Dr. Hannah Park stood on a raised platform in the center of the room. Behind her was a large screen showing images of Earth and the ancient fleet. Captain June Kim stood nearby, along with Admiral Tai-Ho Lee, who had come from Earth for this important meeting. The elder of the council spoke first. "We have called this special gathering to hear the true history of humanity. Recent events have shown that what we thought we knew about Earth and its people was wrong. The ancient alien turned to Hannah. Please, tell us your story. Hannah took a deep breath and began. For most humans, our history begins with simple farmers and hunters who slowly built civilizations beside rivers and oceans. The story in our regular history books tells of a slow climb from stone tools to bronze to iron to steam to electricity and finally to space. She touched a control, and the screen behind her showed ancient human structures, pyramids, temples, stone circles. But there were clues to our true past, she continued. Structures built with stone so large that even modern equipment would struggle to move them. Stories and myths of gods who came from the sky. Strange artifacts found deep in the earth that seemed too advanced for their time. The screen changed to show these artifacts, metal objects embedded in ancient coal, strange drawings that looked like modern machines, maps showing lands that should have been unknown. All of these were hints of what came before, Hannah said, because human civilization on Earth did not begin 5,000 years ago. It began much, much earlier, perhaps 50,000 years ago or more. The room was completely silent as Hannah continued. Humans were among the first intelligent species in this part of the galaxy to reach the stars. Our ancestors built great ships and traveled to hundreds of worlds. Some were empty and were seeded with life. Others had simple life that was helped to evolve faster. And some had intelligent beings that were taught and guided. The screen showed star maps with hundreds of worlds marked. Many of you come from worlds that were visited by ancient humans, Hannah said, looking around the room. Some of your ancestors may have thought these visitors were gods. Others may have recorded them as teachers or friends from the sky. The Guardians have kept records of all these worlds. A tall, insect-like alien stepped forward. Our oldest stories tell of sky people, who taught us to grow food instead of hunting. Are you saying these were humans? Hannah nodded. Yes, ancient humans helped many developing species. Another alien, with blue skin and 6 eyes, spoke up. But what happened? Why did these ancient humans disappear from the stars? Hannah's face grew serious. War happened. A terrible war that nearly ended everything. The screen changed to show images of strange, dark ships, unlike even the ancient fleet Earth had revealed. The records are not complete, Hannah said. But about 12,000 years ago, humanity encountered something in the space between galaxies. We don't know exactly what they were or where they came from. The Guardians call them simply the Darkness. Admiral Taiho stepped forward. Our ancestors fought a war that lasted for generations. Thousands of worlds were destroyed. Entire species were lost. The enemy was like nothing ever seen before or since. Did humanity win this war? Asked the elder. Taiho nodded slowly. At terrible cost, yes. But victory left human civilization in ruins. The few survivors had to make a choice about how to go on. June took up the story. They chose to return to Earth and start over. They believed that humanity had advanced too quickly, that our technology had grown faster than our wisdom. They wanted a second chance to grow more slowly, to learn the lessons they had missed the first time. But they were not foolish, Hannah added. They kept the fleet hidden, maintained by the Guardians. They preserved the most important knowledge and technology, passing it down through carefully chosen families for thousands of years. The elder leaned forward. And this enemy, this darkness, what became of them? A heavy silence fell over the 3 humans. Finally, Taiho spoke. We don't know for certain. The records say they were driven back to wherever they came from, but there are warnings passed down through the Guardians, telling us to always be ready to maintain the fleet because one day they might return. The room erupted in worried conversation. The elder raised a hand for silence. If this enemy was powerful enough to nearly defeat ancient humanity at the height of its power, it would be a threat to the entire galaxy now, the elder said. That is why we maintain the fleet, Taiho replied, and why we are sharing this knowledge now. If the darkness ever returns, it will take all of us together to fight them. The elder nodded slowly. Then it seems the galaxy owes humanity a debt, You have carried this burden alone for thousands of years. Hana shook her head. We don't see it that way. We're simply doing what our ancestors asked of us, protecting life wherever it exists. The meeting continued for hours as the humans answered questions from the alien representatives. Many were shocked to learn that their own species may have been helped or even created by ancient humans. Others were frightened by the story of the darkness and what it might mean if such an enemy still existed. When the meeting finally ended, June, Hana, and Taiho stood together by a large window, looking out at the stars. Do you think we did the right thing? June asked quietly. Telling them everything? Taiho gazed at the stars. Our ancestors hid to protect us, but they kept the fleet ready because they knew this day would come. They wanted us to rejoin the galaxy, but on our terms. And what happens now? Hana asked. Now, Taiho said, we build something new. Not an empire like before, but a true community of worlds. We share what we know and we learn from others. And we prepare, June added, just in case the warnings were right, just in case the darkness returns. As they spoke, ships from dozens of worlds approached the station, their crews eager to establish formal relations with Earth. The Raxian Empire had already sent messages offering friendship and alliance, their earlier threats forgotten in the face of humanity's true power. Earth's colonies were safe. Humanity's place in the galaxy was secure. And the ancient fleet remained, not as a weapon of conquest but as a shield for all life. Hana smiled as she watched the ships passing by. It's strange to think that after all these years of hiding, everyone finally knows the truth. Not everyone. Taiho corrected her. Most humans still don't know. That will be the hardest part, telling our own people who they really are, where they really come from. They'll learn, June said confidently, just as we did, and they'll understand why our ancestors made the choices they did. As a new day dawned across the galaxy, humanity stood revealed in its true form. Not the young species others had thought, but ancient guardians returning to their rightful place among the stars.